Bueno, ahora sí, buenas noches a todos. Yo soy Félix Suárez, editor en jefe de Editorial Amolcat. Estoy en la ciudad de Medellín, Colombia, donde se encuentra la casa matriz de la editorial. Y bueno, hoy tengo el gran gusto de presentar este seminario que lleva por título Cómo dar forma a la punta con la técnica finés, utilizando el injerto de extensión septal. Tengo el gran gusto en este momento de presentar este espacio hoy porque nos acompaña una referencia mundial en el área de la cirugía plástica, uno de los máximos conocedores de esta especialidad clínica y quien quiso hablar hoy a sus colegas en Latinoamérica. Dr. Rohrich, it's a great pleasure to welcome you. How are you today?
I'm great. Thank you for having me.
We are honored to have you with us, and I'm sure that plastic surgeons throughout Latin America will benefit greatly from this seminar. También quiero saludar al doctor Andrés Ocando. No me escucha el doctor, pero bueno, quería que presentara al doctor, que también nos acompañara pues, en la traducción de las preguntas y respuestas que puedan generarse después de la presentación del doctor Rohrich. Y bueno, estoy yo muy contento también de tener al doctor Ocando y que haya aceptado nuestra invitación y que pueda dialogar también con el doctor Rohrich. Okay, Dr. Rohrich, I will now briefly explain how this seminar will be organized.
Okay.
Then I will read a short professional introduction about you and Dr. Ocando, and after that, I will give you the floor. Following your presentation, we will proceed with the questions from the audience, which will be translated by Dr. Ocando. Okay?
Okay.
Ok, entonces bueno, quiero explicar brevemente cómo estará organizado este seminario. Primero leeré una breve semblanza profesional del doctor Rohrich y del doctor Andrés Ocando y después escucharemos la presentación del doctor. Los asistentes que estén conectados a través de Zoom podrán ir haciendo sus preguntas en el chat que está disponible allí y después de la charla del doctor Rohrich procederemos a leer esas preguntas para que el doctor las responda. Aprovecho para decirles que el doctor Rohrich hablará en inglés, pero si lo necesitan, podrán ustedes activar los subtítulos. Dejamos en la chat de la sala las indicaciones para que puedan activarlos. El doctor Ocando leerá las preguntas y traducirá las respuestas del doctor Rohrich. Entonces, bueno, comienzo diciendo en primer lugar que el doctor Rohrich es un cirujano plástico de renombre internacional, muy respetado y altamente cualificado, que ejerce a nivel mundial en el Dallas Plastic Surgery Institute, en Dallas, Texas. Es uno de los médicos y cirujanos plásticos más influyentes de este siglo, experto mundial en rinoplastia de revisión, lifting facial y cirugía de revisión de lifting facial, así como en todos los aspectos del rejuvenecimiento facial. Es también un experto en la ciencia del envejecimiento. Describió los compartimentos de grasa facial, que son el sello distintivo de cómo envejecemos los seres humanos. Ha desarrollado múltiples técnicas y tecnologías innovadoras para mejorar tanto la seguridad y los resultados de los pacientes, como la ciencia de cómo revertir el envejecimiento facial de forma natural. El doctor Rohrich, además, es profesor clínico de cirugía plástica en la Facultad de Medicina Baylor. Ha sido profesor y director del Departamento de Cirugía Plástica de la Universidad del Texas Southwestern y fue el primer cirujano plástico nombrado Distinguished Teaching Professor en el Centro Médico de la Universidad del Texas Southwestern. Ha ocupado la presidencia de la mayoría de las prestigiosas organizaciones de cirugía plástica de los Estados Unidos, entre ellas la Sociedad Americana de Cirujanos Plásticos. También ha recibido numerosos honores y premios en el ámbito de la cirugía plástica y estética. Asimismo, como editor en jefe de la Plastics and Reconstructive Surgery, la convirtió en la revista revisada por pares más respetada en el ámbito de la cirugía global. También podemos decir que es editor fundador y emérito de la PRS Global Open, la primera revista de cirugía plástica de acceso abierto y revisada por pares en los Estados Unidos. Es presidente del Dallas Rhinoplasty Meeting, que ha formado a más de 15,000 cirujanos plásticos en el mundo, y es presidente del Dallas Cosmetic Surgery and Medicine Meeting. Y bueno, esa es una muy breve presentación del doctor. Quiero presentar también al doctor Andrés Ocando, especialista en cirugía plástica reconstructiva y estética, en cirugía plástica facial y medicina del estilo de vida, con un fellow en rinoplastia avanzada. Todo esto logrado durante 8 años en Brasil. Entre su formación académica destaca el título de médico cirujano por la Universidad del Zulia, en Venezuela. Es especialista en cirugía general del Hospital Central de Maracaibo, especialista en cirugía plástica y estética por el Centro Universitario Edmundo Wilson, con formación en cirugía plástica facial en el Instituto Jurado Brasil, especialización en medicina de estilo de vida por la Universidad de Ingá y con un fellowship en rinoplastia avanzada en el Paladin Learning Center, también de Brasil. Y bueno, después de esta introducción, tiene ahora el espacio del Dr. Rohrich. Once again, Dr. Rohrich, welcome. Thank you very much. The floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Felix and Andre. Much appreciated. Well, welcome, and thank you so much for asking me. And of course, you know, This is all in our new book, Dallas Rhinoplasty 4th edition, and we're honored to present this. And this is just a glimpse of what's in the book and more. And also, we hope to have you join us. And I'm going to just go and share my screen with you, and then we will proceed with the presentation, and we'll proceed with going through the. Hold on, we'll proceed with talking about septal extension grafts, one of my favorite grafts in rhinoplasty. And I love to teach, I operate, I develop instruments, and I do research, all those things. And of course, the grand finale of the rhinoplasty meeting is going to be held this year, the 44th and last year, and it's going to be really amazing. All interactive, live edited surgery, March 11th through the 14th, 2027. So mark it on your calendars, because it's going to be the meeting of a lifetime, ending up with a gala. So what do we do when we talk about septal extension grafts? I mean, there's been a lot of different talks about rhinoplasty and septal extension grafts and shaping in rhinoplasty. But I think the biggest thing is, how do we get optimal results? And that's with tip shaping and tensioning. And for years and years, we use the columnar strut, which is a great graft. But why did I change over a decade ago to septal extension grafts? Well, let's go back to understand what tip projection is. And tip projection is really determined by the length and strength of the lower lateral cartilages in general. But that evolution of tip support to the columnar strut and now the septal extension graft has been unparalleled, because the columnar strut is great, but it only works well if you don't need to change projection or rotation. So when I use it is when I have a strong middle crura, no changes needed, and I can maintain tip projection and rotation. This is a classic example of a patient that needs that. She's got good tip projection and rotation, but she's got a very, very strong but deviated caudal septum. So the goal here is to bring the sutures out and put a columnar strut in between it and actually reshape it and restore it, because this is powerful to do that. And with that, you can get an amazingly great result. And you can also see that in long-term results up to 25 years with columnar struts in patients that did not need to have tip shaping or tip rotation. So it works great in those patients. And even after a facelift, it works great. But if you want to have it do anything but maintain tip projection, it fails. And we've seen that. It's unreliable for increasing or decreasing tip projection and doesn't offer any rotational control. So when I use it to maintain tip projection and rotation. And that's why I've transitioned to the septal extension graft. Because when you understand the tripod concept as advocated by Anderson, it's really three parts of a triangle. And when you would rotate one or the other, you would derotate or lengthen or shorten the strip. But that's the tripod concept, which is very simple to understand, but it's missing something. The thing that's missing today is that you don't want to decrease or transect the lateral crura. So the paradigm shift for the tripod concept is preserve the lateral crura and transect and medialize the medial crura. And I never transect the lateral crura. And I always transect and overlap the middle crura, which is the weakest part. So that paradigm shift has led me to the use of a septal extension graft. Because when you transect and overlap the two weak becomes strong. And that's very, very powerful. So hence the fixed mobile septal extension graft, which we published in 2020, have used it in thousands of patients. So there's less reliance on the strength of the lower lateral cartilage in shaping tip projection. But now it's on the fixed yet mobile septal extension graft. using tip tensioning and Ayler shaping. So with a septal extension graft, you can rotate the tip any way you want, and superiorly, inferiorly. It's amazing what you can do. So fixed central motility, septal extension graft, and then tensioning. That is very powerful because you can stabilize and soothe 4 sutures in the central stabilization and fixation. And we've shown the superiority of this when comparing it to the Kaya-Muller strut. It's very powerful. We did a blinded study and published it in 2023 in PRS. And we showed that there was significant loss of projection and rotation in Kaya-Muller struts, especially in males. So using this unique force suture technique, we shaped and contoured with fixation and stabilization. And then what we did is we allowed us then to rotate the tip and give you the rotation you want. If you wanted to de-rotate the nose, it was powerful. And in doing so, you then had a stable network to do tip shaping. And these are the 5 sutures that I use for suturing: transdermal, Gruber, septal extension, intradermal, and intercrural. So here's what we do: is we measure how long it is for the Kaya-Muller strut, and then we'll suture it into place, and we'll put it into place. We'll fix it, and then you'll see we'll trim it, and then you'll do your suture technique where you're going to suture it into place here, and then you've already sutured into place, and you're going to suture the 2 sutures together. You're suturing and tensioning. Look how you're tensioning the lower laterals to the tip, and you're going to put that into place, and you're going to put it into place, and voila, you're going to have a septal extension graft. And all this is done with tensioning of the tip. You're tensioning the tip. And the ideal shape should be this triangular portion right here. And what that means is 4 things. You want to straighten the lateral crura, you want to evert the lower laterals, and you want to get the caudal edge higher than the cephalic edge. And you want to have a diamond-shaped tip, so that when you look at a patient like this with a big bulbous tip and a dorsal hump, you want to be able to reshape that, rotate the tip up, and tension it. So this patient had a tensioning of the dorsum and a tensioning of the lower laterals. And we did that with a septal extension graft. So we used a fixed mobile septal extension graft. We put in 4 sutures. We did the 5-step transdermal sutures, and we sutured it into place. And we did Ayler contour grafts, and we pushed up the framework and pushed the skin envelope downward. So we also did dead space closure. We did meticulous hemostasis. We rotated it up. We did closure of the dead space of the feet of the medial crura. We put this into place and really shaped it and made it look really good. And you can see that here. And when you do that, you can actually really, really shape the tip. And then you also did Pitangui ligament preservation by suturing the supratip area into the distal part of the SMAS so that you could really reshape the tip. And I think that's very, very powerful to do that. And when you do that, you can get nice tip shaping, and you can get nice tip shaping so that you can get a result like this at 2.5 years. You have dorsal preservation, tip shaping, restructuring of the dorsum, bringing the tip down, giving you a nice, beautiful orthostatic line. We also did Ayler contour grafts, reshaped that. And then that's one example of a thick skin. Here's a thin skin patient, just the opposite patient, really thin skin, excess tip projection. Again, we did something very similar. We opened the nose. She had a boxy type tip. And in this case, what we did is we derotated the nasal tip. We brought the tip down, and we used a septal extension graft for the same thing, but we overlapped the medial crura. So we overlapped these medial crura here to derotate the nasal tip while we tensioned this. And then we did a butterfly graft to correct the soft tissue triangle. And so you can see very nicely this soft tissue triangle here, 2 years post-op. Beautiful shape and contour to give you a nice shape and tip contouring. Beautiful. Now, what about the totally over-projecting and droopy skin with a thick skin nose? Same type of thing, really a problem patient. So you see this patient, he's got droopy nasal tip, asymmetry, So septal extension graft again, derotated it with the correction of the medial crura right here, really shaped that into a beautiful place right there. Really did that. Transected and overlap, but tensioned the lower laterals. We did upward rotation of the septal extension graft. So we brought the tip down and brought the tip up. So here she is at 15 months after her septal extension graft, tip reshaping, redorsing, reconstructing the dorsum, really giving her a beautiful shape and contour. Again, with a septal extension graft. Very powerful. So what I would say here is if you want to get consistency and excellence in tip shaping, use septal extension grafts, because not only does it allow you to get a fixed yet mobile structure at the septal angle, but it gives you predictable tip projection and predictable tip rotation. That's very, very powerful. And the other thing it does, when you do that and you tension the alar rim, you actually get incredible consistency of the alar-caudate relationship that you can see right here. It's beautiful when you do that. It gives you so much incredible shape and tipping. So that's just an overview of all the incredible things that we can do with septal extension grafts, and also the thing that really makes us very, very powerful in doing rhinoplasty, because rhinoplasty is all about consistency and getting reproducible results. And the septal extension graft is a hallmark for doing both consistency and reproducibility. And it really has been a true game changer in rhinoplasty results in plastic surgery. And I'm happy to share any thoughts and comments that you may have, Andre, with the group, and just let me know. Thank you so much.
We appreciate your lecture, Professor. Very explicit. We will be waiting for any questions of our audience.
Okay. All right. And I just have a question for you. How often do you use septal extension grafts?
Yo tengo una pregunta. Tengo una pregunta, porque pensaba en varios tipos de pacientes con esta técnica, pero hay un paciente no ideal para usar esta técnica que explicó el doctor.
He's wondering if he can use that technique in several types of patients, or if there is a patient or a type of patient or nose in whom you cannot use that technique.
You can use septal extension graft in every type of patient, especially in patients that you see in South America, Central America, because you need strength and stability. A Kayamura strut is good but it's weak. If you want to use it for strength, it'll get weak. So I rarely use a Kayamura strut today, but in patients that with thick skin and really need structural support, this is by far the #1 indication. It's very powerful and it's very consistent. What you see is what you get.
Él está hablando que en la mayoría de los casos sí usa, especialmente en las narices mixtas de todos los suramericanos, donde hay mucha debilidad en los tejidos, ¿no? Y especialmente en los recursos cartilaginosos. Great.
Bien, y otra pregunta que tengo. ¿Cómo se pueden manejar, digamos, las expectativas de los pacientes en este tipo de procedimientos? Es decir, ¿qué consejo puede dar el Dr. Rohrich acerca de cómo trabajar esas expectativas?
How do you handle the expectations of the patients or the illusion that they might look in this way, or how can you assure the outcomes of the surgery?
Well, I mean, no one can ever guarantee an outcome in any surgery. None of us are God. But this will help you. It's an incredibly important tool to help you get consistent, good results in rhinoplasty. Because rhinoplasty is the hardest operation we do in all of plastic surgery.
You cannot hide it.
You can't hide it because it's on your nose, and the patients are very demanding. So this will give you a higher level of consistency in getting good results, especially in the tip. And the tip is very, very powerful. If you give a good tip and a good dorsum, you've got a happy patient. Now, is it ever going to be perfect? No, but it'll be so much better than what you used to have because it's predictable and reproducible. Those are the two of the key components in getting good rhinoplasty results. So learn how to master it and master it well, and then you can get great results.
Great. Él habla que esto da mucha garantía de resultados consistentes en las puntas, ¿no? Y cualquier cosa que pudiera no estar adecuada en el resto de la cirugía, ya con una punta estable y con todos los parámetros que esperan mejorarse con la punta, ya se puede sobrellevar cualquier imperfección and imperfection in other areas of the nose if you have a very strong point or tip. There are two questions here. I will translate them. When you lack of septal cartilage and you might think about using cartilage of the ear, that it's of course softer. It's not as straight as the septum. How do you make the support of that tripod?
Well, I don't like ear. I don't use ear really. You know, there's a few people that use it a lot. If you have to use ear, you can fold it together and make it strong. But I find ear is not very good. I use rib.
Totally agree.
If the septum is not there, especially in patients, you know, that have really thick skin, if you don't have good septum, then you've got to go to a rib graft.
To rib cam. Sí,
Yeah.
que el cartílago.
Rib grafts are
Great. I will translate to María Isabel, our colleague. Sí, en efecto, no es un cartílago confiable porque primero es inestable en sus formas y ya de una hay que considerar cartílago costal. There's another question. In patients with thin skin, how do you cover that strip? Or do you usually cover with anything besides the cartilage?
Yeah, what I'll do in patients with thin skin, I'll use a cephalic trim. You know, sometimes I'll take a cephalic trim and I'll cover that tip with the cephalic trim. Now, if it's in a secondary rhinoplasty, I use the scar tissue that I've harvested from the revision and use that. But if you don't have any of that, then I would use mastoid fashion.
El doctor está preguntando, Marisabel, saludos, que si él, para poder dejar una cobertura, él primero dobla sobre sí mismo el injerto y que él aprovecha cualquier tejido cicatricial en scar tissue, cualquier tejido cicatricial en esas cirugías secundarias. Y si no, utiliza fascia para entonces hacer esa cobertura y dar la interfaz entre la piel, the skin, the fascia, and the cartilage. Any other questions? Let's wait. Another. What suture do you use when you plaque the skin of the tip?
Right. I use a 5-0 PDS on a PC3, or you can use a blunt needle, but I don't like to use permanent sutures. Some people, it's controversial, but I don't like to use permanent sutures because I think PDS lasts 120 days, usually more than enough for tip structure. I just haven't had any problems with that. I mean, some people use Prolene, but I prefer to use absorbable sutures.
Él en esto, Marisabel, él dice que suele usar PDS, suturas absorbibles, que hay gente que usa Prolene y particularly I sometimes use Prolene or nylon. But in his hands, he usually uses absorbable sutures. There's another question from a friend of mine, Alejandro. Do you usually overcorrect the tip?
Not with a septal extension graft. I rarely will do that, especially with rib graft, because what you see is what you get. You have to be very careful. When I first started doing septal extension grafts, I would overcorrect a little bit because that's what you do with Kayumelo struts. Big mistake. Because in septal extension grafts, if you perform like I do, it's not going to move.
Okay. Okay. There's another question. Have you ever tried this procedure in closed rhinoplasty or just open rhinoplasty?
Yeah, I've done it in closed rhinoplasty as well. It works fine, just a little harder to do, but I do probably 95% open rhinoplasty because half of my practice is revision rhinoplasty, and so it's very complicated. And in those patients, I'll use rib graft.
Él me está diciendo el doctor que él suele hacer este tipo de cirugías solo en cirugías abiertas porque lo que él más opera son cirugías secundarias y de revisión, revision, mostly revision rhinoplasty. Another friend of mine, do you use a sheen
graft?
Sheen graft to modify the tip?
In thicker skin patients, I may do that. Certainly, I think in patients, Latinos, or I definitely would do that. But when you do that, you got to really make sure you shave the tip so that you don't get long-term exposure. The problem with visible grafts is that you really have to make sure that they're smooth. Otherwise, at 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 years, you'll see some edges. So you have to be very careful. But yes, I do use it but in thin-skinned patients, you should really try and avoid it and use a camouflage graft on top of it, like fascia.
Él está comentando que él evita hacerlo en pacientes con pieles delgadas, pero más que todo lo dispone en pieles gruesas, en pieles étnicas, en pieles mixtas. Any other question? How often, Professor, do you have courses? Well, it's all known for all the participants that you are a very worldwide famous professor. And how often do you receive, one question for me, do you receive international plastic surgeons in your clinic? Besides your Congress and the thing you organize in Dallas, or is it just very reduced to your events?
Yeah, no, I have 1 or 2 visitors a week. That's what I allow and then you can just email me. I'm on my, you can email me on my, it's on my Instagram or my website, and I take up to 2 per week because I have 2 fellows and 2 residents. So we just want to make sure it maximizes the experience, and of course I've had hundreds of plastic surgeons and facial plastic surgeons from South America. They're the best. So yeah, it's fine. We're glad to have you. But remember, this year will be the final year of Dallas Rhino, and it's going to be completely different. It's going to be live edited surgery. It's going to be phenomenal. March 11th to 14th. So this is the chance of a lifetime, and we're going to end up with a gala. We're going to really blow it up in a big way. So.
Okay. Aproveché y pregunté al doctor, que él, claro, es ampliamente famoso y conocido por todas las personas que lo siguen y lo acompañan, que si aparte el evento que él hace en Dallas, él recibe otros cirujanos plásticos en otros momentos, y él dice que sí, él tiene 2 fellows, él recibe personas por lo general entre 1 o 2 cirujanos plásticos por semana que lo acompañan, y bueno, él es una persona altamente abierta, y que este año va a ser el último evento en la misma modalidad que él la viene haciendo, y ya completamente hará todo a nivel online. Entonces hay que aprovechar este último presencial. 2 more questions here. When you remove those, when you reduce and you remove cartilage from the alar cartilage, and it's already with a previous resection, do you have any standardized way of reconstruct, or it varies patients from patients?
Well, the way I reconstruct the alar rims is if they're not there, I'll use batten or alar contragrafts, extended alar contragrafts. I prefer septum for that if possible, but if the septum's not there in revisions, then I'll use a very thin piece of rib graft, and I'll extend it all the way to the alar rim, and that way it'll wear it out. It's very powerful. And then sometimes in secondaries, I'll fix it to the tip.
Sí, en la mayoría de los casos, cuando ya no dispone de mucho cartílago, él se va directamente a usar una pequeña parte o porción de cartílago costal para estos casos y los trata de fijar a lo largo de todo el diámetro del ala nasal. Another question. That's a very interesting question, Marisabel. In secondary or revision rhinoplasty with a lot of fibrosis or scar tissue, do you infiltrate something previously with hyaluronidase so it can be easier the dissection, or you don't use anything?
You know, I do not. I know some people do. I pre-inject, the patients with, 10 cc's of 1% lidocaine.
Lidocaine.
100%, 1 to 100,000, and for 10 minutes before, and then just meticulous, dissection.
Patients and patients.
Yeah, it's a very complicated thing, and you got to stay deep, stay midline, and you never know what you find. It's always like a great mystery.
Yes, of course, I understand. Él no suele inyectar, él sabe que sí, hay especialistas que usan hialuronidasa para hacer esta disección, pero lo que hace es solamente la infiltración con lidocaína, uno en 100,000, y es muy paciente, es very patient, es muy paciente a la hora de hacer esa disección, porque él sabe que él no sabe con qué se va a encontrar, entonces es muy meticuloso, very meticulous. I think those are the questions.
Great questions. Andre. Very good questions. And and you can DM me, or you have my website.
I will DM you.
Yeah, DM me, and then my website is there, drrorik.com, and of course my Instagram is at
I follow you on all your social media.
Yeah.
Great.
So we have fun, and then, we also have a YouTube channel which talks a lot about rhinoplasty. So
Great.
Sí, bueno, yo quería hacer una última pregunta. Sí, o sea, ¿qué puede decirnos el doctor Rorik acerca de la última edición de Rinoplastia de Dallas? Es decir, ¿qué puede decirles a los participantes y a los asistentes hoy sobre el libro?
About your latest edition of the book.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
What are the news or something you might want to add to?
Well, first of all, it's brand new. There's over 1,000 new illustrations, over 100 new cases. It's amazing. It's a one of a kind, and it's now one volume, so it's phenomenal. And if you come to Dallas Rhino, I'll sign it. We'll take it off, and it'll be great.
Sí.
Take one to Cancun. I
will bring one for you to Cancun.
Yes, but
all right, and we'll definitely see. We'll probably do some book signings in Cancun. How's that?
Great.
Sí, bien.
Yes, we'll do it. I'll be there for 3 days. It'll be awesome.
Que este libro tiene muy nuevas imágenes, está muy actualizado en muchas cosas distintas a la versión anterior, y que él espera, por supuesto, que lo apoyen ahí.
Sí, de hecho, bueno,
yes, la pantalla. We can't wait.
Sí, ciertamente.
Buy it. Click it, buy it.
Sí, ciertamente. Ahí está en la pantalla el libro, la cuarta edición. Y bueno, quería ya despedir el seminario, agradecer al Dr. Rorik. Thank you, Dr. Rorik, for your time and for your presentation. Las personas en el seminario de seguro vieron en esta presentación una buena manera de ver esta técnica. Y bueno, también les quiero decir que pueden ver a través del código QR que ven en la pantalla, pueden acceder a información sobre cómo adquirir la obra Rinoplastia de Dallas, cirugía nasal por los maestros, editado por el Dr. Rorik, la cuarta edición. Pueden ver, allí pueden consultar sobre cómo adquirir esta obra. Bueno, agradecerles de verdad al Dr. Rorik, Dr. Ocando, de verdad, muchísimas gracias por esta...
Anytime. Thank you very much, Félix.
Y agradezco mucho a todos por su presencia. De verdad,
Thank you.
agradecido.
Yep.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you, Dr. Rorich. God
Yep. We'll
bless
see you in Cancun.
Thank you. See you in
Yep.
Cancun. Take
You
care.
bet. Bye-bye.